All right. Good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday. It is June 23, 2011. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Hope you had a lovely day, because we sure have an excellent show in store for you tonight. If you would like to join us for the text chat, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. And any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. And if you listened last week with Tobias Lars, our special guest tonight, we talked about transmutation and alchemy of dark and heavy emotions. We're going to kind of continue with that theme here tonight. 30 seconds of emotion or 30 years of pain. He just put an excellent video up about this. You can find it on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Tobias Lars Gunnar, 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 or you can go to courseofawakening.com for the full video. And, of course, his main website is soulcounseling.com. So good to have you here this lovely Thursday, Tobias. How are you doing today? Oh, Tobias is testing the mute button, right?
Can you hear me now?
How's that mute button working out for you today?
I need an assistant to help me show when it's on and when it's off. I need an assistant. God says I still have to be able to function by myself. So anyway, maybe it's some point I can have an assistant.
You're stuck with the rest of us having to figure out, like, the red light and stuff.
Has anyone experienced that, where you're actually, this will be happening, where you're actually going to sort of forget who you are, where you are, why you are, and you might be actually sitting at a traffic light and you will have a moment of, what does red mean and what does green mean?
And that never happens.
Right. And this is not just because people think you were smoking pot or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. This is serious, of course. Mm-hmm. As everything is deadly serious. No, not really. Mm-hmm. But no, during this time of awakening on the planet, you're going to, I call it spiritual amnesia. This is being born again. Jesus talked about, you're going to basically have your whole mind, I will be completely reborn, reformatted, remade, recreated. This is the born again phenomena. This is the born again experience, which was very real, and taught initially way back, but in sort of remembered time, in the Great Pyramid, in the King's Chamber. You would go through an initiation where, in a sense, your old personality was wiped clean. Buddha talks about it, too. You had a second birth. The reason Joshua talked about being born again was not, the way we do it mostly today, although it's all helpful. It all has its place. It was an actual realizing I'm a spirit soul, that all these temporary impressions into my brainstem and my brain, which includes your name, who you think you are, you're a male or a female, your personality traits, all your history, all that stuff, in a sense, gets wiped clean. Your hard drive gets wiped clean. This is why when there's true conversion experiences with Christians or anybody, they often will that addiction is gone. Mm-hmm. It's overnight. They no longer smoke, or they learn to play the bass. I remember sitting with a black guy in a little town in Texas when I was working my way through college, and he told me how he was an alcoholic for 30 years, and all of a sudden he said, well, from his perspective, he would say that, well, the Lord healed me, And I was young and open and wanted to hear it. And so I went to his Pentecostal all-black church on the bad side of the tracks in this little town in Texas, back in the late 70s or 80s. And you could tell. He said, well, how'd you learn to play the bass guitar? He said, well, the Lord showed me. So these are instant recreations, instant awakening of talents, instant healings. So when there's just going to happen more and more on Earth, and it is. You might find yourself thinking, I can't even remember that. And this is not that you're getting Alzheimer's. It's you're being cleaned. Your slate is being cleaned. If it's Eckhart Tolle, that night he talks about when he completely sort of cleaned his old personality out. And we're deathly afraid of this. The ego goes, well, that's who I am. You know, it's like people after there's a disaster, I saved my family pictures, you know. That's the thing we're trying desperately to hold on to, our history, our tradition, you know. But there's going to be happening more and more, wiping the slate clean, being born again. Now, whether we're going to require that as major tsunamis, hurricanes, what if next year there's 1,000 tornadoes like the 2 that hit Tuscaloosa and Joplin? You know, I'm just saying, if we accept this renewal, this rebirth, this second birth that wants to and that is happening on the planet, and we don't resist it, we don't have to go down fighting. The ego will fight nail, tooth, and claw to hang on to its power structures. Whether that's the inner corridors of the Illuminati and the money system being changed from within, or whether that's you getting rid of some stuff in your house that you haven't touched for years and that you're just sitting around just sucking energy out of your life, you know? It's the same kind of rebirth. So I don't know why I got on that kick, but...
you were just telling me it's okay to not remember anything and have my memory wiped clean every day, right?
This is it. St. Paul, who some will argue was kind of a nasty attorney, which he was, but Paul says in all those letters he wrote to churches, he demystified Corinthians, Galatians, all this stuff. All that means is he's writing letters to these guys, telling them what to do. It's like an email. And in one of them he says, I die daily. I die daily. I start fresh daily. I wipe my slate clean. I have no history. I have no attachment. I have no personal history. Now all of a sudden we're into Toltec shamanism. Don Juan teaching Carlos Castaneda, erasing your personal history is one of the beginning steps of the shaman apprentice. What does that mean? You becoming some blank automaton? Not at all. It means what Siddhartha Buddha Gautama says, you are not attached, linked in to your personal history. You know it is a temporary exploration of an eternal soul. You know, all these things are starting to converge now. So I just want to suggest, if any of you out there are experiencing momentary lapses of reason, thank you, Pink Floyd, see? A momentary lapse of reason. And again, we don't have to go back to when we were 17, sitting there for 3 hours after school doing bong hits, although that was all good, proper preparation. It was good preparation.
Bong.
Yes. What are you doing in there?
Than Preparation H, I guess. So yeah.
There you go.
Oh goodness.
Take that and smoke it. What are you doing in there, son?
Would you like some?
And by the way, you know, I haven't smoked pot for 25 years.
I'm sorry.
Oh, very good. But I have to tell you, it probably kept us sane. You know, we got away with murder in high school with it because we were just relatively great students, and so whenever we got caught, everybody said, oh, that's fine, you know. You're just exploring, you know. But all this has its place. We're going to rediscover that whether it's ayahuasca or San Pedro or ibogaine in Africa, these natural, or cats eating catnip. Why are they doing that? You know, we're going to know why. There's natural stimulants that are part of awakening ourselves naturally. You know, even Albert Hoffman, who accidentally, I would say absolutely not accidentally, discovered, I think he was researching rye ergot, this sort of fungus that grows on rye, and he accidentally, quote unquote, created LSD, and then, on his way bicycling home, he somehow ingested some, or it got through his skin, and he said, I spent the whole afternoon laying in the field, I couldn't ride my bicycle, and I realized, there was more important things than what I, was doing. But I think that was guided. Could you imagine having that level of psychedelics put out across the planet in the 60s, and so few percentage-wise casualties? That's quite amazing in an unregulated situation, So it's all been part of it. Terence McKenna, all of it, It's about this larger awakening. But you have to do it for real, Even ayahuasca herself, these mother plants that teach us, are only there to sort of show us that you can do this in your natural state, because the most effective pharmacy is truly your own pharmacopoeia, your own secretions, your wholly glandular system, your pancreas, your adrenals, your thymus, your thyroid, your pineal, your pituitary, your ovaries, your testicles. Did I say testicles? Is that wrong?
You said balls.
Yes, exactly. The most holy awakening is really this stuff. And it truly is. Pharmacy, we're going to discover that. Compared to GlaxoSmithKline, Beecham, whoever they are, Dow Chemical, they stand no chance. They can't make human tears. Human tears are a miracle. The secretions coming off your skin, the natural oils, are you kidding me? The fanciest, collagen skin cream that's $1,000 an ounce being sold in Paris and New York is a pale copy of the natural oils exuding from your skin. And it's only when you eat toxic crap that it gets somewhat polluted, So we are an unbelievable miracle machine, and the miracle pharmacy in our brains of serotonin and dopamine, and there's 100 finer ones, There's 100,000 finer chemical secretion fragrances, literally. What does my dog smell when he smells things? Because his nose is a whole nother warp speed of being able to smell things, Tap into that. We have that ability too, by the way. Humans have the remarkable, amazing collection, coalesced ability center. We have all the abilities of all the other animals on this planet. We have reptilian brains, we have mammalian brains, we have bird brains. Yes, I know, it's funny. We have all of this within us. We truly have the ability to be the jewel of creation as a god in action, as Shakespeare said it. We can communicate, communion, come oneness with dolphins, with manatees, with wolves, with all the animals, with elephants. We can speak telepathically. We can speak energetically this way to each other. Now, we're reawakening to all this stuff now. And so when you have a momentary lapse of reason and you forget what red means and green means at the traffic light, all that means is that you're awakening to your truer, larger, cosmic, enlightened self. So if anyone tries to tell you there's something wrong with you, I have to say in the last 2 weeks, one of my favorite clients was a woman who the rest of the world would have labeled as you have some mental problems. Mm. And I have to tell you, being and communing with her, we were off into the worlds that feel more real to me. It's the same way when I go to Hopi Land, and one of the sisters that I know up there, she has been in the hospital. She's been labeled bipolar, schizophrenic, and she's been an alcoholic. But when I'm with her and she feels safe with me, the gateways to the heavens start opening up. We've labeled our kids autistic, bipolar, all this stuff, and all that is because we can't handle how they process light information. Mm-hmm. And it's changing. It's changing. But it was remarkable to sit with this client and realize that we were off into laughter ozone, and at the same time realizing because she had refused to be shoved into a box of functioning only linearly. Imagine if you had to walk everywhere nowadays instead of drive your car. it would be a hardship on you. Well, that's what we're doing to souls. We're telling them you have to walk linearly, ploddingly, slowly along, and only process the information, the galactic light. You think fiber optics has gigabytes, terabytes flowing through it, you know? I'm talking to you wirelessly right now. Hopefully, please keep going. Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. That's nothing compared to the exchange program of fiber optic energy information that's pumping in and out of your brainstem and your whole system right now. Mm-hmm. And we've been somehow convinced that we don't deserve, or that we need to sit and be programmed by something as harsh and cold and stupid and slow as television.
Yeah.
You know, we've traded television for our cosmic vision, for our solar vision.
Yeah, pretty insane.
Yeah. We're waking up, though. The good news is millions of us are going, there's something wrong here in River City. You know, we don't want... Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, Tobias, it's that time, but hold that right there. We will be right back after this short break. Stay tuned. Tobias Lars here on Truth Brigade Radio. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Tobias Lars tonight. He is the author of Listening to the Sun and Awakening Souls, which is one of my favorite books. You can find at soulcounseling.com. He is also a personal awakening coach. And tonight we are talking about his latest video, 30 Seconds of Emotion or 30 Years of Pain. There's lots of chatter on the text chat, and I can't keep up with it all, so please feel free to call in if you have any questions or comments, 402-237-2525. And if you'd like to join us on the text chat, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. Tobias, let's talk about your video or the topic tonight.
Yes.
30 Seconds of Emotion or 30 Years of Pain. What's that all about? What the heck are we doing?
Right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. I'm sorry. I will figure this out. Exactly. And through my work with people and just realizing in my own life being taught this, it's really the whole humans being plugged up, being suppressed, you know, we talked about earlier here, versus us being connected really energetically with light energy, every cell of your body. This is why in certain Hindu or Eastern scriptures they'll show the awakened Buddha, the awakened master, with thousands of eyes or multiple heads and arms, is because their body, the God body, the divine body, the body of Christ, the body of Krishna, the body of Source, it becomes one with everything. Now, why have humans been shut down so much? Why has the energy stopped flowing? As we know, a flowing river is a healthy river. A clogged river gets backed up, backlog. So you can liken that to our kundalini, your spinal column. The whole school of chiropractic is developed on basically just getting the bones back lined up so the natural energetic flow in your spinal column starts healing your whole body. So it's about flow. It's about motion. The word emotion, you look at it, it's meant to be emotion, energy in motion. Our emotions are meant to be flowing. A young child is a healthy human being. Whatever emotion they're feeling, they're just expressing, pressing out, exit, press, expressing. It gets expressed. I hate you. I love, and 3 minutes later, I love you. You're my best friend. You know, and right in the Sandlot. Remember? You know, it's like you shoved my castle down. I hate you. I never want to talk to you again. And then you're back to playing. It's fun to watch, right? And now, I'm not suggesting you know, do exactly that. But when Yeshua and all teachers, Jesus, talk about become ye as little children, the kingdom of heaven is like a little child. No one comes unto the kingdom of heaven except you become as little children. What is that about? Mm-hmm. It has to be with being healthy and transparent and letting your emotions be flowing. Now, that doesn't mean you are infantile or childish in that way. But sometimes, yes, being honest with your feelings. And there's ways of doing that no matter where you're starting from. It has to be done. We are emotional, feeling beings. And if you clog that part of yourself, how can you not clog the whole system? It's like being emotionally, energetically constipated. And that's basically everywhere you look today, adults are emotionally, energetically constipated. I have a song I wrote years ago called Inside We're All Still 3-Year-Olds. You know? and we are.
I want you to play that for us.
Well, we'll do it sometime.
Okay.
I'll have to remember it and bring it back. But yeah, where I talk about, we're all inside, we're all still 3-year-olds. Daddy left and he never came home. And that's the loss of God's source. That trauma of not being able to trust, that betrayal that mommy and daddy can't be trusted or God can't be trusted. So this is the original sort of separation fall, and everything else plays off of that. But so how do we there's no way around it. You can be the Tin Man, hello Dick Cheney, whatever, right? But where you, or David Letterman, you have quintuple meaning 5, heart bypass surgery. Now, in our civilization, we're trying to bypass the heart. That's why we have heart bypass surgeries. Mm-hmm. Your heart energy center, we're so uncomfortable with it. When someone says, I love you, now you can do it fakely and syrupy and on the surface only. But one of the toughest things in the universe here on Earth, in the world, is to receive love. To hear someone say, I love you. I had a friend today say, he wrote a song and we were helping him record it. It was a beautiful song, and was labeled bipolar at one time in his life. And when I met him, of course, I felt, hey, there's a friend, someone who doesn't have an agenda and doesn't have this horrible human programming you got to work around. He's just very straightforward, and he's a very bright guy. Well, super sensitive. Well, anyway, he wrote this beautiful song for his friend who's dying of cancer. Gorgeous. We recorded it. But at the end of that, he sat there and said, well, Tobias, I wouldn't have written that song unless I'd met you. And I'm like, shut up. Don't start telling me this stuff. You're going to make me cry, Mm-hmm. That's our natural knee-jerk reaction. It's difficult for us to receive love. It's a little easier for us to give love. And then Joy sat over there and pointed at me and said, see, you tell it's difficult for me to receive love. Now you shut up and receive this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, why is it that way? Why is it so much easier to give what we think is love, but we can't sit back and receive it?
Well, in a sense, there's a video on YouTube, by the way, The Art of Giving and Receiving, where I try to talk about that as well. If you want detail, 10 minutes of it instead of just what we do here. But basically, the power position is sort of the helper. The vulnerable position is the person that needs the help, right? Mm-hmm. So the giving, look, I'm giving, I'm strong, is sort of in a way the easy position. The difficult thing is to admit that you need help. You feel very vulnerable. Mm-hmm. It's very, very vulnerable. And most of us in our world nowadays is like we have to get physically incapacitated. You have to get cancer or literally faint and get knocked out so that you actually need physical help. We don't know how to ask or to receive very well. And so it's difficult because also, let's be honest, we've been hurt. When we were open and vulnerable, just go back to your lifetime currently, your current lifetime. You were 5 years old and you asked Daddy to do something and he was busy with something. He said, not now. Mm-hmm. And just those 2 words, not now, were sent like a dart, like a spiraling energy dart into your little tender heart. And you walked away with your project that you had drawn a beautiful picture that you wanted to show to your daddy. Mm-hmm. And Daddy didn't mean to do that. He was just having to get that phone call done so he could provide for the family or whatever, right? Yeah. But the little child received that as, my daddy doesn't have time for me. My daddy doesn't love me. And so we got wounded. And this is a replay of an original wound, which is the original fall of humankind from connection, oneness, source. I and my father, I and my mother, I and my source, my God, are one. So it's hard because those original wounds get stirred up. When you start opening your emotions, it's the most terrifying place on earth.
Let me ask you this, Tobias. There's a few comments in the text chat. Speaking of feelings, I'm going to read them, and if you would please respond. The first, I think that feelings are for weak people.
Right.
I don't want to be human. I want to be more powerful than human. Feelings are weakness.
I got it. Let's just stay with that. Let's just stay with that for a second. This is the programming. Let's become metallic transformers. Let's become hard. Let's put shells around us. Let's become what? Iron Man. Right? Mm-hmm. Do you notice that Iron Man has a problem with what? His heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the real strength, this is the programming. It's temporary strength. Temporary strength is glass and cement buildings. The real strength is an oak tree. Mm. Who survives the earthquake?
Yeah, the tree.
Yeah, those cement and glass buildings are like brittle little, things that fall over. The same way with brittle men and brittle women.
Yes.
When they've hardened their hearts, who's the real strength? The real strength is artists and musicians, not military men. Military men are the most brittle men on the planet. Mm-hmm. I'll give you one example. Bill Cosby at Carnegie Hall, him and Roseanne Barr. Do you love how I had switch examples here? I love
Yes.
So they're Bill Cosby, funny man, right? I mean, really one of the pioneers. Beautiful. I used to listen to his, the Chicken Heart That Ate Chicago, and Me and My Brother Russell, and all that stuff on LPs. Beautiful, funny, amazing, successful, right? Mm-hmm. And he had to protect his heart with his humor. I would suggest. Yeah. I remember watching Roseanne Barr, which a lot of people love to hate. Why? Because she's fat, she's not the model, she's kind of crude, she's brash, she's not our image of Cinderella or,
Roseanne.
Of Barbie. I love Roseanne, too. But it's the truth-telling that Roseanne does. And she was, I would suggest, on her real own spiritual journey, which is why she's been weird for people. She actually didn't want to just end up being a comedian. She wanted to move on and try other things. How brave is that? Well, she's sitting on stage with Bill Cosby at Carnegie Hall. Mm-hmm. And Roseanne turns to him with authenticity and real feelings in her heart and starts wanting to tell him that you inspired me and you were one of my heroes. Mm-hmm. Bill Cosby catches it a nanosecond before Roseanne starts to say it. He knows she's going to go to the heart and start telling sincere feelings. He literally jumps like a jack-in-the-box out of his seat. Mm-hmm. While Roseanne starts saying, you really inspired me. And she starts breaking open, crying, and sobbing. Mm-hmm. Bill Cosby sees that, and in the old school, the old paradigm, jumps like a jack-in-the-box. Literally, he did it before she started crying. He knew it was coming. And starts going out into the audience, doing his shtick, becoming Joe Comedian to prevent anyone to come. He thinks he's protecting her. She's in a vulnerable moment in his world, breaking down. Mm-hmm. No, she's breaking open. Mm-hmm. And what's stronger? She and her heart breaking open. Her having those feelings is stronger than Bill's shtick. Mm-hmm. I would suggest. It's the same reason when you're on a plane and there's a baby who's crying, who is full on howling because they're scared, right? Mm-hmm. You can't tune that out. Because the emotional energy of that baby, just a little 6-month-old baby, you're a grown man, grown woman. You can't tune that out. Even if you put your $1,200 Bose stereo headphones on, the noise-canceling stereo headphones, you can't tune it out. Why? because emotional energy is stronger than your mind. Right. So there are whole civilizations out there that are trying to bypass feelings and cut them off.
Yes.
And exactly like your texter there or whatever is saying, feelings are weak. No, they're not. Mm-hmm. Because men can't handle. I know a woman very close to me who, after 30 years of marriage, finally one day in a very quiet voice told her husband, who was a normal, brittle man, said, I can't do it anymore. And he bounced out of his chair, just like Bill Cosby, headed for the door, was never to set foot in that house anymore again. Now let me ask you, the quiet, still voice of that woman speaking with truth and authenticity, I can't do it this way anymore, ran that terrified little brittle man out the door. Which is stronger? When you speak truth, when you speak emotional truth, it is the strongest thing on the planet. Mm-hmm. That's why a 12-year-old girl can get up in front of the United Nations and speak truth, and everybody goes, she's telling truth. And all those fancy ambassadors from the 197 countries of the world look like brittle men and women in suits. So when you call it weak, you're scared.
Yeah. You're speaking truth.
That's the truth of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very scary. Men would, emotionally connected men are also, by the way, what women want.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about wimpy. I'm not talking about wimpy New Age. Let's go to the seminar and gaze into each other's eyes. You know, women don't want that. You know,
well, that's fun too.
That's fun too. I'm not talking about that wimpification of spirituality. That's not what I'm talking about. Which is what it turns into a little bit. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you, Tobias. I'm so sorry it is that time, though, so hold that right there. We will continue this discussion when we return after this short break. Tobias Lars here on Truth Brigade Radio. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here tonight with Tobias Lars here on Truth Brigade Radio. 30 seconds of emotion or 30 years of pain. His website is soulcounseling.com. But please continue where we left off, Tobias.
Right. So the idea that it's somehow weak or, it's the weak position to feel. There's lots of evidence for that on the earth, you know, the way we've been living for the last 6,000 years or so. Mm-hmm. But there were others. We have to be complete. So the comparison is, would you like to be a brick and mortar or a cement and glass building, or would you like to be as flexible as the oak tree? The oak tree is stronger. When you discount a part of you, now, there's an impulse across the universe. There's whole planets that are totally militaristic. There's star systems, you know, other civilizations. The problem is Earth is not meant to be that way. Earth has a heart and has an emotional body. And so do humans, because we are the children of the Earth. If you're incarnated here, you're going to have a heart, you know. Mm-hmm. I remember this story years ago, and you'll start seeing this everywhere. I remember a reporter for CBS or something, who was in the Golan Heights, Israel, between Israel and Syria, I think it is, the northern part of Israel there. And it was just him and his video guy, you know, the guy filming the camera, using the camera. And he got killed. He died. He got shot by a stray bullet, even though he's wearing his flak vest. And the last thing the reporter says as he's dying on the ground is he's concerned with how it will look. How will this look on camera? You know, did I do this weakly? I'm embarrassed that I wasn't smart enough. Okay? Mm-hmm. This kind of need for approval and looking good and fear of disapproval, fear of being made fun of, is what's been used to shut men's solar plexus down, you know. Yeah. Again, it's how we train soldiers. What are you, a wimp? What are you, a pussy? What's wrong with you? Stand up and be a man. What are you, yellow? Yellow, you yellow-bellied, so they used to call them, because your solar plexus is actually a yellow color. Mm-hmm. So this kind of shaming has been used. Very few men are able to actually stand up against another group of men and speak up. It's sort of the mob psychology, mob mentality. So the real strength lies in being able to actually feel your emotions. And luckily that does ultimately have more strength. Jesus is a lot stronger than, Colonel Schwarzkopf, okay? And I always have fun with words. Schwarzkopf means black head, the head of the black, Mm-hmm. There's no accident that these things happen. So the real strength. But that doesn't mean you're not free to explore. By the way, these movies that have been out lately about the Spartans, for instance, mm-hmm. the Spartans exemplify this sort of masculine shielding of their body. The whole thing of wearing armor. Even bodybuilders are building their bodies because they're putting in armor on top, so they don't have to feel anything. Mm-hmm. That's what we mostly can feel with people that are obsessed about building this bodybuilding armor. Often there's deep psychological issues about being hurt.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel that.
And women also do it. Women who have, their beauty has attracted undue attention, obviously, from men. Women will say, well, I'll just get fat or dress myself down so I don't get that attention. Mm-hmm. It's that sort of protective armor. The fat is the protective armor. Yes. Because then I'm not pretty and attractive anymore. Yep. So this kind of armoring against our vulnerability, because it has been very hard on Earth for the last few thousand years to be open with your heart, to be open with it. It really doesn't work. The stories, Romeo and Juliet. So I certainly sympathize, empathize, and understand when someone says, I'm done with trying to be open-hearted because the bitches just hurt my heart, So mm-hmm. a lot of men will do that and just go, hey, get them before they get you. And then that game gets going. But ultimately that will make you, it damages you as well. You cannot become Iron Man and be tough because you will die inside that suit where your heart won't function. Yeah. That's why that's so popular. These are the modern archetypes. Notice that Marvel Comics is sort of dominating all the movies lately. Mm-hmm. This is not by accident. The Green Lantern, Thor, all of this stuff is because these are the Greek gods, actually the Titans. Okay. There are real beings, mm-hmm. just like there are multiple types of beings out there in the universe. The Greek Titans, which were the gods, right? These are real beings in the universe. Go watch Green Lantern. That mm-hmm. thing is more real than what you're seeing around you in your neighborhood, That has to do with the Watchers and these beings, these angels, these ancient ones. These are some real stories. It's not completely real. There's license and, the way they interpret it. But there is a race of the Titans in the Greek history, Greek philosophy, that decided to become as big and strong as possible. There were giants in the earth in those days.
Yes.
Moses the wizard, the master initiate, the Egyptian high priest that Moses is. Mm-hmm. He has access to all of the Library of Alexandria and direct perception. And he knows about the race of giants that existed on the earth, that are found by the Paiute Indians just a little north of the Hopi that I go visit, that have 2 sets of teeth and 6 fingers, mm-hmm. and that are 8 feet tall with red hair.
Yeah.
That the farmers, the Mormon ranchers have found in the caves up there, and that are carefully hidden away, partially because it's not just sinister conspiracy plots that the Smithsonian comes and shuttles it away. It's also because we as a collective people, we don't want to know about our past history. We want to live in McDonald's land. We want to live in, give me my prescription pills and let me eat my contaminated beef and drink my hormone-alterated milk and hope that my body grows well. And then we're surprised that it can't. Mm-hmm. But we don't want to know. Jack Nicholson is true. A large segment of the population says, I don't want to know the truth, and therefore you can't handle the truth. So then when people some of this starts bleeding out, whether it's UFOs or ancient races or whatever, we just want to dismiss it, Then we're complicit in our own death. And if we shut down our feelings, we're also complicit in becoming what becomes a race of humans that become the little E.T. gray guys, which have no sex and no emotions left. Now, let me ask you, did they look strong to you, those little gray guys? Those little creepy alien dudes?
Not really.
that have no penises, giant eyes, and they are absolutely just like little insects? No. I would call that pretty weak.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big story to that I asked about years ago about who are these guys, why, when Whitley Strieber's book Communion came out and they started showing up in my room, and I said, you guys feel clammy and creepy. I don't want you here. Mm-hmm. And I started asking Source God, who are they? And there's a history. There's a aspect of humanity right now through genetic cloning, genetic manipulation that decides we don't want to feel anything. And they think that's going to make them strong. But what you turn into is those little gray guys.
Yeah. Yeah,
you can't have any sex anymore. By the way, I don't want to give up sex. I like that.
So you want more sex? Keep feeling.
Yeah, that's right. Why do people like crazy artists like Jim Morrison, Because they're pumping out some feeling, And on a deep level, women are so damn fucking, did I say that? I'm sorry. So damn hungry for something real, they'll throw themselves at artists, because there's some real feelings coming through, and we need to bring that back into a spiritual vein too, as well, So feelings is, and you don't want to do anyway. Right now, we send billions of dollars worth of Hallmark cards to each other because we don't know how to express it directly. And I'm not saying you should go out there and pummel each other. Here's my real feelings, No, we need to work our way back to it. You can't run a marathon tomorrow if you've been not practicing. We don't know how to use our emotional bodies. So start gently. Be careful with yourself and say, oh, I'm having this feeling, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling love for you. It's just as hard to express, quote, the positive feelings of love and caring and so forth as it is to feel the negative feelings, the dark stuff, the hopelessness, the sad, the depression, all that stuff. But none of these feelings are your enemy. We've made them an enemy. This is like biting off your hand and hoping that you can, still use both hands. It's like a wolf biting his paw off in the trap. Yeah, he gets away, but he's hobbled for life. Yeah, millions of men have shut down their feelings, but they're pretty hobbled for life. Can I get an amen from the women? There's a lot of hobbled men out there, and a lot of damaged women as well. Yes, I'm not picking on the guys. It takes two to tango, Absolutely. By the way. And unless guys out there think I'm, thinking that it's all the men's fault. No, it's not. When I have a lot of spiritual women come to me, and they say, well, there's no good men out there. All the good ones are taken and all that stuff. And, we're much smarter than the men, and we really created the universe. I look at them, and sometimes I'll say, if it's timely and ready, I go, really? You created the universe? Then why did you create stupid men?
Yes, we're not picking on men. I'm a woman, and I'll tell you, we're just screwed up at least.
It takes two to tango. So we've both created this. The woman and the man, we've created the current situation on Earth, There's lots of women that go for the heartless man with the money. Let's just be honest. And so when women do that and they feed their energy and they create kids that way with those men, then they create more of that energy on the planet. So
absolutely. Good, Tobias. It's that time, though, so hold that right there, and we will continue this when we return at the top of the second hour with Tobias Lars here on Truth Brigade Radio. Welcome back. Top of the second hour here tonight with Tobias Lars here on Truth Brigade Radio. And once again, you can get his videos. He just put one up this week, 30 Seconds of Emotion or 30 Years of Pain, by going to courseofawakening.com. And don't forget innerbodyawakening.com as well. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give us a call at 402-237-2525. That's 402-AFR-2525. Or if you'd like to join us in the text chat, that's over at TruthBrigade.com. Tobias, did you want to continue where we left off, or should we move on?
I just wanted to say that the Course of Awakening, I put lots of free videos up on YouTube, and you can get the essence of it all. There's also a membership program with Course of Awakening, which is $50 for 6 months or $11.95 a month, where I go into a little bit more depth. Often I'll do a piece of that video, like this one, 30 seconds or of emotions or 30 years of pain. And the topic is here, are we willing to feel? And let's talk about that, actually. Are we willing? Anyway, so on the courseofawakening.com, you get a little bit more in depth for people, you know. But I like to share a lot of it for free, and then also I need to, you know, I pay my car payments and stuff too. InnerBodyAwakening.com is a method that I use that really is an ancient method, way back Vedic method, yogic method, that it's everywhere, with Qigong obviously as well, Tai Chi, where you actually feel your inner energy body, and this is real. This is real. Mm-hmm. The rest, you know, yak theory and all that stuff that we do, which is fun, and it also can be helpful, but that's just the opening of the mind and the understanding. The real inner standing, see, understanding is standing under, inner standing is understanding it inside. And that inner body awakening gives you a direct experience of feeling your own energy. It's really unbelievable magic in a sense. Qigong masters spend their lifetimes learning to feel what my pancreas does or what the lungs represent, like in Chinese medicine. And you can do this directly. So that's what that's about. The alchemyprocess.com is directly working with energies as well. It goes hand in hand. And these are methods that Source, you know, God's very interested. Source, Father, Mother, God is very interested right now, for those that want it, to have us wake up on the planet. That's what every teacher came for. Jesus, Buddha, 600 years before him. They were sowing seeds for this time of awakening, of us actually being able to create a different type of human civilization with free energy. Really, and of course we're going to get tempted, the opposite of it, the New World Order, one world government and all that. But there's going to be a decentralization, no more, there's going to be individual, smaller colonies, if you will, on the planet, and our technology will survive. There's a reality coming where we'll have free energy, we'll still have the internet, but we're also going to have telepathic travel, the way Stonehenge, those ruins up on the Altiplano in Peru, Teotihuacan, Angkor Wat, Giza, the Hopi Kivas, which we were just at 2 weeks ago. We were going to have actual dimensional Stargate travel as well. That's going to be just natural. See, a natural master, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Babaji, St. Francis, etc., could travel naturally with their own Merkaba, their own light body. That's very different than fake government programs that air, you know, Groom Lake. It's completely different worlds. Mm-hmm. One is in alignment with the source, and one is dark projects. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested in dark projects because they suck. Yeah. Because basically they're no fun. They're no fun. Are they having fun? All those compartmentalized scientists, and they're always living in fear and terror, and, you know, they can't say this and they can say that. Are they having a good time? Do you want to go to the Christmas party at Groom Lake? Mm-hmm. Or S1 or, you know, Area 51? I don't. It's not a good time. I'd rather go to the Christmas party with the Rolling Stones. It's more fun. Mm-hmm. You know, you have more energy. So Earth is meant to be a fun planet, an enjoyable planet. And that includes our emotions. So in the title for the thing tonight, 30 Seconds of Emotion or 30 Years of Pain, is inspired by, I've seen it so many times, when you finally get down to it, it just, that deep pain or being hurt, family misunderstanding, brothers not talking to each other for 30 years, sisters having misunderstandings, daughters being angry at their mothers, fathers and sons, things that went unspoken, that decided, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. It's really hurt. And that's what makes Thanksgiving dinner so uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm not saying they all are. There's beautiful families that have a good time. But there's undercurrents often of unspoken stuff. You know, I'm sensitive. Once you're sensitive to this, if I go to Thanksgiving dinner, you know, I can feel all those undercurrents, and I'm like, oh my, you know, please stay off of me. I don't want those energies, because they don't feel calm. They don't feel enjoyable, you know. Mm-hmm. So when you have very sensitive people, like my client who is partially autistic, labeled as a child recently here a few weeks ago, they go to those dinners and they're just absorbing it like a sponge, like the poor young fragile eggshell mind of the child, like Jim Morrison talks about, you know. Mm-hmm. And that gets absorbed into you. Well, once you decide, you get real and say, hey, I felt hurt by what happened back then. And then if the other person is ready, it's very scary to do. You feel vulnerable, right?
Yes.
The knee-jerk reaction is, oh, I'm over that. I'm past that. No problems. It's all cool. That's a big, fat lie. Usually in the form of a big, fat beer belly. All right? I'm fine with that. No problem. I'm over that. Really? Why are you drinking 12 beers every night?
Yeah.
I'm picking on stuff. But look, I'm not picking. I understand it. There was a poor guy in Salt Lake City that lived in this apartment for 7 years. When he moved out, they found a room with something like 50,000 beer cans in it.
Oh, my gosh.
You can look it up. Google it, images. He had just stuffed it with beer cans because he didn't want people to know he was drinking that much. That was self-medicating. And that's because there's some hurt and pain there. We're self-medicating because we're in hurt and pain. Whether you're a shopaholic, whether you're a workaholic, whether you're a yakaholic, whether you're a work shopaholic, whether you're an actual alcoholic or doing drugs or prescription drugs, we're self-medicating food and emotional pain. Or a dog show-aholic. You ever watch those people that go to those dog shows? Do you ever wonder, no wonder you don't have human relationships because you're completely humanizing your dog.
Exactly.
There's something off. There's something off there, We've given up on each other, and we get dogs, right? We've given up on having human relationships. Cut all your hair off. Quit wearing makeup. Don't do any of that, and I'm just going to have a dog. I understand it. I'm not picking on it. We're simply pointing out that's unhealthy in a way. You cannot make your dog your mate, It's not that healthy. Right?
I guess they do in some countries, but...
Yeah, you can find it on the Internet. But you know what I mean? We've got to get back to natural, aligned, healthy, emotional living. If you want to have a good time according to how God, the Creator, Source, whatever developed our world, intended it. And that's when it's enjoyable. You click in, it works, right? And a huge part of that. So being able to speak up, Mom, can I tell you how I feel? My whole life, I have kids of my own now, Mom. My whole life growing up, I'm like a woman would say, the daughter would say this to her mom. You're telling me what to do with my kids. I felt like you never listened to me. And I don't want to blame you, but I have to tell you I still carry that hurt. I have clients like that. I have clients where both the mother and daughter come see me. And I can feel energetically, instantly, what's going on here. And this is not to blame. It's not about blaming. This is because no one taught us how to do it. No one taught us 101 how to express your feelings without actually attacking each other. No, you were taught algebra.
Yeah.
What a waste. Total waste of time. Algebra, trigonometry, geometry, for most people. Not for engineers, not for mathematicians, not for whatever, But why wasn't there a class that said how to express your feelings openly without blaming the other and clearing your energy so you feel good again? No, you finally get Psychology 101 when you're 19 or in college, and it's a class of 300 people, and, it's about something about Freud and Maslow, and you don't remember any of it, but it was an easy credit. So 30 seconds of emotion is what it takes. Getting real, or you carry it for 30 years inside you, and it causes you to, drink too much. That's really the deal. We're learning now in the medical community more and more that all disease is emotion-based. Doesn't that make sense? Chiropractors will say if we just get your energy flowing, a lot of things will clear up, including your skin condition, including XYZ, if we just get your energy to flow. And the deeper flow is the emotions. Yeah. That's why sometimes with, for example, chiropractic, you'll go in and your chiropractor will get it going again, and 30 days later you're back again. Why? Because the same stuck energy would build up, and finally the bone pops out of place again. Yeah. So the real healing lies in feeling. Unfortunately, there's no way around it, but there is a way through it. We're trying heart bypass surgery. It's not working. David Letterman's getting a little creepy. Let's be honest.
Mm. Is he still around?
Yeah. I liked it tonight, the Late Show, right? But if there's something, we have a hard time expressing, and when we try to go around that, we get heart bypass surgery. The leading cause of death in America is heart disease. Why? Because we don't know how to feel our hearts. There's no way around it. And again, I don't mean wimpy, how you feeling today? Like that guy it's a Saturday Night Live guy. He's a senator now. Al Franken used to do, what was that guy's name? The touchy-feely psychological guy who would say, and doggone it, I'm lovable and I'm a good person. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about getting down real with it. And that's Jim Morrison. That's Ozzy. Ozzy's almost crazy clinically, right? You know why Ozzy's? Because he's feeling at such a deep level that it almost has to look dark and satanic what he's reflecting. This is what the Hopi Kachinas do. These acting out shamans would often be considered touched in the head. Why do we call it that? They were touched in the head. Crazy and channeling these spirits is a fine line, right? That's why they can hardly stay around. Jim Morrison isn't Sting. Jim is feeling these energies. Watch him perform. He's not up there going, I'd like to perform this number for you now, like Perry Como. That's not what's happening. Nothing wrong with that. But Bing Crosby is not Jim Morrison, right? It's a totally different world. It's the difference between Pat Boone and Elvis. Pat Boone is great, but he's not feeling stuff in his pelvis.
Yeah.
Right? He's not Little Richard. He's not, whoever. There's a difference between shamanic music, Led Zeppelin, etc., or just pure anger, rage at stuff, Slayer, whatever, right? Marilyn Manson is a genius, Doris Day is sweet. Que sera, sera. Yeah, that's sweet. Beautiful. I love watching those old 50s songs. Beautiful from the heart, but they're not dealing with the dark side of the emotions.
Yeah.
We weren't ready till 1971 when Ozzy actually sees that dark figure. Listen to the lyrics of Black Sabbath.
Yeah, definitely.
Figure in black who points at me with eyes of red. Scares the crap out of Ozzy, and he says, God, please, no, save me. Don't let me do this job. I don't want it. I know I'm pushing the boundary a little bit here tonight, but it's time now for convergence. Converging, understanding what's been going on Earth. We're trying to get our energy moving again, and rock and roll and music has been a huge part. If there was one thing that prevented World War III, it was Little Richard.
Okay. How
Little
did he
Richard
do that?
having to pretend that he's gay or bisexual or that he became and is, doesn't matter, so that he wouldn't get lynched when he started singing Tutti Frutti Good Booty. And the white chicks liked it.
Yes, we did.
And the redneck dudes out back with the pickup trucks were, hey, buddy, come here. And he'd go, oh, no, I'm gay. I don't want your girls. That's what kept his ass alive. And then
that makes sense.
And then Elvis came along, and he could be yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and he was more safe for the white community. Right? So it's a miracle that Little Richard's alive.
Yeah.
But so this energy needed to come onto the planet. We needed to move the booty. Right? Instead of going, there's Bing Crosby and Bob Hope and Terry Como, right, and all those guys, and great, but they were feeling nothing below their waist, below their heart. I shouldn't say that, nothing, but we weren't ready for it, Now the energy needs to be fully embodied. Elvis was, when he was born, by the way, there were blue lights, literally, not a blue light special at Walmart, although some people would say that's true. If you read some of what Elvis went through, Elvis was an amazing soul. He was really part of jump-starting that whole energetic phenomenon on the planet in a way that it could reach a lot of people. If it wasn't for Elvis, the Rolling Stones could never have happened, But we needed a safe entree. We needed, quote, black music from a white guy that actually felt it, you know? And I know I'm pushing the boundaries big time by this. But it's time for convergence. It's time to feel this stuff again, you know? Wayne Dyer is safe on channel, on PBS. Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra are safe because it's still medical and intellectual and it's very nice. And Eckhart Tolle is safe. I love Eckhart. I listen to him almost every day. He's a master. Mm-hmm. But he has to be very, very safe with his little cardigan sweater.
Yeah.
You can't, what, is Eckhart going to get up and rock out with a bass guitar? No, he's not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we can't handle it yet.
Yeah, maybe he's not in touch with his emotions.
No, I think he is.
I'm teasing.
Right, Eckhart's a master.
Mm-hmm.
But, we still have to make, quote, those emotions of feeling and moving energy just drunken rock and roll, where really the gods are Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, wow. Good point there. You're telling a lot of truth tonight, Tobias. It is that time, though. We're going to be right back. Stay tuned. Tobias Lars, InnerBodyAwakening.com. Be right back. Welcome back. Radio. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Tobias Lars tonight. The gods must be crazy. I mean, the gods are Led Zeppelin.
Yes.
That was pretty bold. Please elaborate.
Hammer of the gods. Yeah. If you watch Robert Plant and those guys, they're really channeling ancient druidic energies, and they actually lived out there when they wrote those songs. And, of course, the rumors become that it was somehow, Jimmy Page living in Aleister Crowley's old mansion and somehow doing satanic things. But that's not what's going on when you're listening to it. The May Queen, the fairies, and so forth, they really are bringing in that old druidic Avalon, the mysteries, the ancient Celtic energy that has been shut down by, our modern religious control and mechanized society and so forth. So they have to do it undercover. And what's a better undercover cloak than, hey, we're just drunken rock and roll guys?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what's going on at all. If you ever listen to Jim Morrison actually talk in an interview, you can see he's prophetic. He's actually listening to the other worlds. But the cover has to be, see, they're moving energy, and that's what we're talking about here. Emotion, energy in motion, It's completely different than talking about it, right? When I play music, it feels really good. One of the things God showed me, he said, buy a bass guitar. And he said, just put that on your solar plexus and just find the notes that feel good to your belly, and it would literally open up your energy fields. It's very interesting that the guitar is often right on the solar plexus of the player, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not by accident, because that's where we send and receive. It's sort of, in a sense, one of the largest energy centers in our body. It's our gut feeling. It's our sensing the whole world around us. So it's interesting to explore all this. Music is of the muses, It is the awakener. And whenever we hear someone say music is the purest thing, music is the best language. And by the way, the language we're using today, angels don't use language the way we do. They don't talk linearly with broken down words into a ridiculous alphabet that, you know what I mean? They don't do that. They speak with the language of light, the language of information, just like there's, light fibers into your computer, We're going to learn a whole new language, which is much faster. When we go swimming with dolphins, you get a sense of, look, they don't have time to form long sentences. It's just, boom, it's done. Here's what I told you, a whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
And they can literally send up pictures to each other through their sounds. They send holographic packets of information that then become unraveled. Music kind of does that for you as well. You're feeling it on multiple levels. So watch Zeppelin perform, or anybody, any good musician. It doesn't matter. It's all good. I just personally am sick of sort of some of the whiny stuff that passes for music nowadays, but and just posturing. Sometimes rap is just posturing, but Snoop Dogg is a master. He's a wizard. You think Snoop Dogg is not here to help the planet wake up? You're an idiot. You know, he's actually here to help the planet wake up. He's here on an assignment. Look at him. He's a wizard, that guy. For him to survive what he's gone through, you know. Yeah, and there's a good heart there. Feel them. Feel them. There's a goodness. There's a sense of humor. There's a sense of goodness. See, that's very different. The way you can test the spirits is not by how it looks on the surface, but is there a life affirmation, meaning would flowers, would dogs, Snoop Dogg, would pets, would people feel safe? You know, when he's coaching his little boy's, you know, football team, he cares. There's a heart there. You know? That's what counts. That's what counts. So we're going to unveil the revealing, the revelation, the Armageddon is starting to see who's who behind the scenes. You know, what's actually going on. Those that looked really good, some of them are going to turn out to be not so good. And those that, quote, were the downtrodden or the made fun of or, you know, actually turn out to be very faithful and true bringers of waking up, connected, life-affirming energies on the planet, you know. And I joke around with it, but, you know, Ozzy of Black Sabbath, could you think of any more sort of shocking name back in 1971? Black Sabbath, you know what I mean? Holy cow. And they had a job to do, which was to surface all this dark stuff, the dark stuff that we all avoid. See, if you just sit there and play your New Age music and tinkle your bells, you know what I'm saying? Oh, it's all sweet. That's beautiful. Enya's beautiful. But it is not dealing with the full aspect. You know, if you've got drug addiction in your society, if you've got wars going on where people are just killing each other, shooting each other in the head, all that stuff is a fruit of horrible, destroyed emotional parts of the human beings. As long as there's self-medication on Earth, there's some emotion, some energy that we need to get back into healthy motion. And it is possible. One of the ways of doing it is, I talked about the inner body. Learning to feel your inner body, yes. But you're going to be asked to speak up and speak out. To speak out. Speak your truth. It doesn't mean it's the truth. Just say, this is how I'm feeling in the moment. This is what I'm feeling. No one can argue with that. What you feel is what you feel. Now, people are going to try to say, you shouldn't feel that way. Well, I do.
Yeah.
I do. It is what it is. It's temporary. And all these things that says, oh, you shouldn't say that. Don't bring that up, you know. That's what gives power to denial. It's like that family who says, well, Daddy's raping little Susie, but you can't tell anyone outside the family. Well, that allows it to continue. Not speaking up and not speaking out allows it to continue. Now, when you do this inside a family or a culture or a structure that isn't used to that, you're going to be the bad guy. You're going to be the messenger that will be attacked. You know, whether you're
causing problems again, right?
Whether you're Jesus or Krishna, same story, by the way. It's very interesting that both Krishna and Jesus were born the same way as little children. That the evil king killed all the babies to try to kill them because of the prophecy. Very strange. That would be the exact same story. Just interesting. But so yes, anytime you start speaking out, you know, the old system's going to say, "Why are you causing trouble?" You know? No, I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying I want these feelings out of me. I want this poison out of me. I want my healing. You know, and I'm not. And you try to do it not with blame. You know, look, I want to heal myself. I know we're human. We've all contributed to the messed upness on the planet, right? We've added to the soup. There's this human collective consciousness soup of pretty messed up stuff. You know, anytime you have child pornography or, you know, drug addiction or killing of 35 million cows a year or having roads that kill them, we put down millions of pets every year, just euthanize them, you know, and we have old people in rest homes, you know, dying in Alzheimer's for years on end, just being kept alive as vegetables. Those are not very healthy fruits. By their fruits you shall know them. There's something we're not doing right. And part of that is learning to get real with your emotion. One thing you'll notice, you won't lack energy. You know, if you speak up at the Thanksgiving table and say, by the way, I'm gay, right? Mm-hmm. And there's going to be some energy moving around the room. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or by the way, Mom, Dad, I hated that you told me to join the Army. I didn't really want to. I did it to please you. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some energy moving around.
Yeah.
Well, so that energy, there's no lack of energy. We only lose energy and go down into energy-less depression states, when you don't feel like getting out of bed, when your energy is not moving. Mm-hmm. One way to get your energy moving is to start telling some truth.
Yeah, definitely.
Just do it. Uh-huh. Try it anywhere. At a public meeting at the city council. Try it. You want to get some energy moving? Find some truth that you want to just tell your truth. Mm-hmm. You guys are voting yourselves raises right now when people out here are losing their homes, right? I don't think this is the time for you guys to vote yourself raises. Mm-hmm. Say that if you feel it. See what happens.
Yeah.
At least you get a good buzz out of it.
Yeah. Hopefully you have someone there to bail you out of jail.
No, you don't have to go to jail for telling that truth. You can tell the truth at the public forum. But and it's not to attack each other. Please don't misunderstand me here. This is not licensed to start shooting and spewing your inner problems onto other people. Oh, I'm just telling the truth. No, it can be misused that way. You can truth bash each other. No, it's not about that. Your intention is to be like on the video, the YouTube video, if you look it up, 30 seconds versus 30 years of pain, 30 seconds of emotion versus 30 years of pain on YouTube. It's about, you have to have sincere intention of, I really want to heal. I love my mom. I love my dad. I love my parents, my kids, my family. Okay, not all of them. Some of my uncles are pretty weird, whatever. But no, your intention is for healing. I just want more God. I want more source. I want more energy. I want the plants to grow on earth again. I don't want to pave over paradise and put up a Walmart. Mm-hmm. I want something that feeds all of us, that's good for all of us. I want the junk off the planet. With that intention, I want the demons off the planet. I want the soul-sucking energy that destroys things off the planet. Mm-hmm. Whether that's getting rid of meth or getting rid of certain leaders in the world, it's the same. If you start saying that, mm-hmm. See, Earth is a free will planet. Well, I can't do anything. I'm just one person. Yeah, you can. Heaven and earth can be moved by one mother who's praying, really praying.
Yeah.
Stuff happens when you decide, I don't like this. Mm-hmm. And God, if you're real, you can be really angry at God. He likes that. As long as God likes realness. This is my opinion. This is my experience. God likes when I'm real with him, with her. Mm-hmm. I say him because that's how I do it. But you can do it as a mother, as a whatever. Not me giving him pre-program. If I'm feeling angry and that things suck, I'm real with that. Mm-hmm. That's prayer. Mm-hmm. That's getting my emotion going. Now, I'm not blaspheming, just not saying, I don't want to hear from you, I just want to bitch at you. Even though I might feel that way, But I'm also listening. And God, that, from my world, God seems to like, Source seems to like, my own soul seems to like when I'm real. Still with finesse, You don't want to get landed in jail, like Christie said. You don't want to be carted off into the mental hospital. But I have to tell you, when Joy and I first met, she saw me a couple of times get very real in public. Why? Because I didn't care at that phase of my life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I wanted to hurt other people. I was just super frustrated and angry with what we've created on earth and what my life was like. And I was speaking out. It was coming out off of me.
Yeah.
And that created disturbances here and there. But it was not that I wanted to get people or make them wrong or want revenge. I wanted healing. I want healing. I don't want revenge. That's why in many scriptures throughout the world it says, vengeance is mine. God says, don't worry, I'll handle that part of it. Now, you might have the feeling of, I want to get back at those, mothers. Mm-hmm. You can have that feeling, but if you actually engage in that battle, you might lose and you might end up in jail and so forth, you know. So be careful, be smart about it, be wise as serpents, you know. Meaning your reptilian instincts. What does that mean, wise as serpents? It means your reptilian instinct, your gut feeling. It means your gut feeling. Should I say yes here or no? There's a time to be quiet. There's a time to simply walk away. See, it's not always time to spew your truth. Your truth could be, I'm leaving. You know, this is not the environment I want to be in. That can be done very quietly. You know, there's a right time for strong measures, and then there's a right time for retreat. It's like, you know, the art of war, in a sense, that famous Japanese general, you know, 1,000 years ago who wrote. So speaking up doesn't always mean yelling and screaming and being confrontive. Not at all. Speaking out is being honest. It can be done very quietly. It can be done without words. Yeah. It's more being authentic to yourself, you know. Yeah. And sometimes that's reining in your craziness, you know. Some of us out there that are used to always sort of yelling and screaming, our growth would be to actually go, I'm just going to breathe and sort of transmute that inside me. A client I had a while back was a gentle, sweet lady from Trinidad, a little island in the Caribbean. It's been a while, so I don't think I can say this, but she, you know, for her next step was to actually speak up. Because she'd been so beaten down and told what to think and, you know, controlled by men, etc. So for her next step of freedom was to actually tell them off. That's, definitely very important. But it's that time, Tobias. So hold that right there, and we'll continue this when we return after this short break. Tobias Lars, soulcounseling.com. TruthBrigade Radio. Truth Brigade on AmericanFreedomRadio.com with Tobias Lars joining us tonight and every Thursday night. Soul Counseling. Thor the man! Yes, and we're trying to deal with this Tourette's issue. I'm sorry. Can you just, mute yourself? No, I'm just teasing. Okay, soulcounseling.com. And you were telling us a story about one of your clients in Trinidad who had to learn how to speak up. Yeah. So this getting real with your emotions takes different forms, you know. I'm joking and stereotyping here. But, you know, I had a couple of Italian girlfriends in my life. For them, their growth would have been to shut up. Right? But for this lady who, and you know who you are. And some of us aren't all Italian. Right. And so with this client, beautiful, I could just feel it. She lived in New York, and I think she worked as a domestic, you know, and helped clean people's homes, came from Trinidad and had kids and sent money back, and just real sweetheart. But she'd been basically kind of treated badly by a couple of men who took advantage of her and so forth. And she was so sort of quiet in a sense. So for her to speak up and actually sort of tell them to back the F off, and when I could just get her to move her anger, because she was like wrong in her world. You know, Christians don't feel anger. If you're angry, it means you're angry at God, you know. Yeah. And so it was very healing for her that we could get her anger moving and she could express it. She was so cute. When we first did it, it was so sweet. She's, you know, she used the F word, and I won't do it. But she said, no, back the F off of me. And then she'd go, hee, you know. And it was so freeing and healthy for her to do that. That was a huge leap from where she grew up. For someone else, you know, it would be very powerful for them to not go into fighting mode, not argue or yell. It would be sort of a growth thing for them to go take a deep breath, a deep divine connecting breath. By the way, I'm going to make a video on the one full divine connecting breath, the world's shortest meditation. It's very powerful. And to take that deep divine connecting breath and simply allow your partner to sort of yell at you for a second and just hold the space. It can be incredibly alchemizing and powerful. You don't engage. I'm not going to fight with you. But you're not doing it like, I'm not going to fight with you. You're just, you know, looking down on them. Yeah. You're actually holding real space for them and going, I understand, but I'm not going to fight with you. You know, so these ways of getting your real self, your authenticity moving, one of the ways, just to remember, basically, there's no way around our emotions. There is a way through it, but there's no way around it. Humans have emotions. If you don't, you're fooling yourself. You know, and you're drinking too much.
Yeah, or something else.
Something else, yeah. Mm-hmm. You're running from yourself. You know, so we have to find healthy ways of incorporating, bringing into the body, incorporeal, into the corpus, the body, Latin. Mm. And so you don't become a corpse. You have to incorporate. Otherwise, we end up with we're just sort of economic robots. We just go to work and watch TV, but we never feel anything. But I do because it's prescribed. Every single wedding anniversary, I give my wife some roses and a card.
But we get lots of chocolate.
Yes, chocolate, roses, and a movie is what I should give to her on the wedding anniversary, you know. And we become robotic about it, you know. Without
how do we do that? How do we get to a point where we can become comfortable and healthy with our emotions? We just have a few minutes left here tonight. I mean, is it really only 30 seconds to heal that 30 years of pain, or what's it looking like once we realize we want to get real?
Well, yeah, what that title means is basically you've had an issue for 30 years that you didn't talk about to your brother, father, sister, mother, friend, whatever. And then when you finally broach it, it's 30 seconds of sort of shaking in your boots. And then finally it all comes out and, you know, you work it out. It's that 30 seconds of being uncomfortable to get it going. That's with an individual issue. To heal all of the backlog in our emotional bodies, it takes what it takes. That might take another 30 lifetimes. You know?
Okay. Or even another 30 years.
Yes, you have to start where you're at. But there is magic and grace. God wants to help with all of it. There's so much angelic help right now. You have thousands of angels. Every soul has access to an unlimited amount of energy. So getting our emotions in motion, I would suggest there's no way around it, but there's a happy way. There's a way through it. Each time you gain something energy, you're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy, and you're going to at times, while you're doing it, feel depressed. This isn't working. This is stupid. Tobias is an idiot. You know, we shouldn't be even trying this stuff. I just want my medication, and I want to just forget about it. Yeah, those are normal feelings because you're going to be challenging these programs that have a hold and have, in a very real sense, captured and imprisoned your emotional body. There's a soul cage that most of us are in. I don't want to go with whoever's in charge of my soul cages. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go with that program of denying my energy. The denier is the guy I'm not interested in. I'm in the camp that wants openness, that wants healing, holos. And it's going to be uncomfortable to get there. Look, when you're in rehabilitation, it's not a fun time to get your leg working again. It hurts. A lot of us are in emotional rehabilitation. We haven't even started our emotional rehabilitation yet, on many of us on this planet. We're thinking we can somehow slide through and not have to do it. It's not going to work.
Yeah. So there's no magical pill. It takes work. I mean, it might only take 30 seconds to get the initial comment or statement or whatever it is that needs to be told. But okay, so that doesn't mean it's over. We still have work to do. But
you can have magic healing just with that 30 seconds sometimes. And now the person goes, I meant this. I didn't know you felt that way. And then you both hug and cry eventually in a few minutes, you know. There can be magic healing. I didn't understand that. There's a good video I put up there, which I hesitate almost to say, but it was about the Jackson 5. And basically look at it. I'm using the Jacksons because it's sort of a family. I know they're a little weird and all that, but, you know, we feel. But Jermaine Jackson quit the 5. There were the 5 boys, little Michael, you know, and then the other 4 brothers. And something happened in the 70s where they quit doing it together. And it was a misunderstanding. And in one of their recent TV shows they tried to do before Michael died, and then I think they quit the show because it felt inappropriate to him, which I understand. But Jermaine finally speaks it and says, guys, I saw the contract on the bed. and I thought you guys didn't want me in the group anymore. And they had never talked about it for 30 years. And Jermaine starts crying. Mm-hmm. And everybody well, you didn't understand. There was a misunderstanding. So that particular incident got healed with 30 seconds of actual feeling the feelings.
Yeah.
Understand? So when someone finally speaks up, without wanting to attack each other, often the healing happens very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good example. Watch that video. It's on the Course of Awakening Facebook page. And just as an example of that kind of healing that can happen when something that's been misunderstood for 30 years. And that's why they were never together for the last 30 years, because of that.
Mm-hmm.
They quit performing because there was this misunderstanding.
Yeah, what a shame.
And often we live our whole lives with some misunderstanding, and I don't want to talk to you about it. Well, I don't want to talk to you about it either, and so it goes on for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, when you bring it up, that's not what happened. Oh, I didn't know you felt that way. Oh, that's not what I meant by that at all. You know? And then you go, this is what I meant. I wanted you to be in the group.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought you guys... Jermaine actually says it on that video. He says, I thought you guys didn't want me anymore.
Yeah.
And 30 years of wasted time versus 30 seconds of getting real.
Mm-hmm.
How many of us live lives like that? Where brothers don't talk to each other.
Oh, I don't know one.
And then crazy people like me bring it up.
Yes.
You know, and then and people hate me for it sometimes. But
yes,
I'm like, hey, you know, it's okay. I have to get truthful with it. I can last about, you know, I can't last very long if I'm feeling that stuff in my body. I'll start speaking about it. And if people don't want to hear it, then they'll have to make me the bad guy. I understand that. I understand that. You know? But at least they won't hang around me anymore, and I feel better, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really a great protection. You speaking out like that is like a bubble of protection around you.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that have nefarious agendas on you and stuff, see, innocence and feelings are the strongest protection in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And, yeah, later you hear about how people think you're an idiot and all that. Yeah, fine. At least you were not around me.
Yeah. Tobias, 30 seconds left. Any closing thoughts?
You want to do something radical on this planet to awaken the planet? You want to do something that really will help the planet, save the planet, and wake up the planet?
I'm ready.
Get real and radical with your emotions and be honest with yourself and others about it.
How's that for radical? I like it. Awesome, Tobias. Thank you so much for sharing these truths with us tonight. Excellent job. Once again, you can go to courseofawakening.com to view all of his videos or find him on YouTube. Just search Tobias Lars. His main website, soulcounseling.com or Inner Body Awakening.